Let me ask you a very simple question. What are the Colts going to do, or what is the NFL going to do with Isaiah Rodgers?
I would ban him forever if he ban him for life if he bet on the Colts.
Got to.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that. They say the NFL is different. How's the NFL different?
The NFL needs to be different in the opposite direction.
Right.
The NFL needs to be
Right.
misconception that they are not about this kind of thing.
If you bet on your team, I don't care if you bet them to win or care if you bet them to lose. I mean,
Right, either way.
It would be worse, I guess, in the public mind if you bet them to lose. But I don't care either way.
Right.
Like, all right, what if you just bet on the league? A game. What if you just bet on the Browns and the Bills?
Well, they've done that. They've got a suspension. A couple of guys on the Lions did that. Or
Did they bet on football?
That. Yes.
Okay.
And so they have there's not a limit to the thing, but they suspect that it's going to be a year.
Well, that's what Ridley had. Ridley had a year
Yeah.
for betting, Calvin Ridley with the Falcons. Here's my deal, Ken, and I think this is very hypocritical. If you bet on if you bet on football, give me a year. If you bet on your team, I'm banning you.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm doing. But here's what I don't like.
All done.
I don't like the fact that, well, we're going to suspend them because they bet maybe on basketball or whatever from the facility. Like, I looked this up. You know how much money the NFL makes from online gambling? $2.4 billion.
That's a significant chunk.
And you know what's so the whole facility thing, right? You know what's
and that's
coming?
the direct cash.
Yes.
Indirectly.
Yes. That's their sponsorship
Yeah.
numbers. You know what's going to happen at Lucas Oil? There is going to be in every stadium in the NFL, it's already in soccer overseas, there's going to be a kiosk for DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever,
Right.
where you can bet there. So to say, okay, Isaiah Rodgers bet in the facility on Duke, North Carolina, I think that's hypocritical. It's not church. It's not a sanctuary place. I think that's hypocritical to get mad at a guy for what are you mad about? He bet in the facility. Well, you're going to have, if you don't already, probably already do. I think some places do. On your facility and your game day experience is going to be able to bet on the game you're watching. I think that facility thing is crap. Okay, I do.
I don't know whether it's a time management thing. I don't know what the motivation is. Like, they don't want guys sitting at their locker.
No, that's
like
not it.
DraftKings
No, I
and
read about
all
no.
up.
They are saying we don't want it in our facility because we don't want it around our sport. It's not, no, that's not the Colts. That's the NFL saying, not in our facility because we don't want it around our sport. That's my point. So, and every freaking, you can't swing a dead cat without seeing a DraftKings ad somewhere,
Yeah,
and you're
right.
going to have kiosks where around your
Sports
sport,
books
right
in
there.
your facility.
Yes,
Like Wrigley.
yes,
They're building one.
Yeah, it's the DraftKings
Yeah.
bar, or whatever the hell it is, down the right
Yeah.
field line.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to have everywhere, and that's what I'm saying. It's not time management. It's NFL has told teams we don't want it. We know gambling. We don't want them on their phones in our facility with gambling around our sport. That's just, you got a thing in Vegas, for crying out loud.
You know, that's the perfect resolution for a politician like Goodell, whose dad was a senator, right? I
Right.
mean, all he knows is hypocrisy and nonsense, and so here's more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that simple, I think. What do you do? Do you cut him?
Yeah.
Or do you just, because I found out yesterday, I didn't know this. When you're suspended, your contract's frozen. It's like luck retiring. And then when you're reinstated, your contract continues. So if he's suspended for a year, if he's suspended indefinitely, when that suspension ends and the commissioner says you can play again, he reverts back to the contract that he had at the moment he was suspended. So Isaiah Rodgers, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, whatever. If he goes through some kind of 12-step gambling anonymous thing, he could be back. Why cut the guy when he's your property already?
I'm not cutting him. I mean, I'm cutting him if he's banned. I mean, I'm cutting, obviously that's different, but I'm not cutting him. Look, if he bet on my team, then the league needs to ban him. But if he didn't, if he's sitting there betting Indiana, Purdue, I could give a rat's ass. I hate to say it that way because I've always been the other way, but I could give a rat's ass like I remember at Bowling Green when casinos opened up in Detroit, a couple of my players went. And coach, you can't have guys going to casino. Why not?
Right.
They're legal. They're legal age. My son actually got him and Duncan, I think, Robinson got caught by after a loss, they went to a casino and the AD's buddy took a picture and sent it to Beeline and they had to run or something stupid. And I said, well, you got to suffer when you lose. You can't just be out at casinos. But that's
I
different.
used to see the Rams guys at the casino downtown in St. Louis all the time.
I'm not cutting Isaiah Rodgers.
Giant. Like, I don't even know how they got this much cash in their pocket.
Yeah.
Going to their pocket, shooting craps, gone in a minute.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you're seeing. I'll tell you one thing you're seeing a rash of robberies of professional athletes, and that's why. Because like if I were a professional athlete, even 2.7 million is what Isaiah Rodgers is making.
Yeah.
Now in the NFL
after
world,
making almost nothing.
Right, nothing. Yeah, he gets his deal.
Now.
So take away the point of him being incredibly stupid. I don't think, whether he has a degree or not, I don't think that UMass education is going to get him 2.7 million out in the real world. I mean, 2.7 million is a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Jesus. Yeah, and so now, and then you read, well, it's $20 bets, $30 bets, whatever. You're like, well, that's even dumber.
$40 bet and a $2.7 million loss. Those odds aren't working for you at all.
I told you, I always told my kids, you're going to rob a bank, do it for millions. Don't rob a bank for $10.
If you're going to get fired, cook the books for a bunch. Don't do it over like a business expense that you inflate.
No. Right. Hey, I put an extra $5 on my sheet. Like, I got Catholic guilt, so I could never do that. But guys used to do that in Indiana, to be like, well, I went to steak dinner with my wife, but I'm going to say it's with Kent or something. I'm like, I couldn't live that way.
No,
I couldn't. I'd feel guilty now. But anyway, I think it's insane.
You never forget what you did wrong,
Jesus.
right? You never forget losses, and you never forget when you made the wrong choice.
Ever.
It's haunting.
Our friend John Adams, who John, he's had the thing on his nose and it may be cancerous. He's already beaten cancer. And we were going back and forth. I was like, hey, I'm praying for you. And he hit me with, hey, look, I need Catholic prayers. I don't need Trader's Point prayers. And he was joking, right? But then, he said something interesting. I forget what the hell it was. But he's like, you know what? As long as you got faith, you're good. But that freaking Catholic guilt is crushing even at his age.
Yeah.
It's like faith makes it okay, but Catholic guilt will crush. But anyway, so you're Isaiah Rodgers, and one of the things you got to be doing is, like Cashman says, so dumb, you got to be kicking yourself. Like, what was I thinking? Because, look, see this phone? When you get on DraftKings, which I'm on every day, if you get on FanDuel, they knows exactly where you are. It says we are checking your location before you can make a bet. And if you are one step outside the state of Indiana, you cannot make a bet. If it is in a state that doesn't have, they know exactly. So people say, well, how would they know?
Yeah.
It says checking your location.
Look at your phone.
Right here.
You think they don't know where you are?
They know exactly. They know that right now, if I go on DraftKings, if I hit the app right now, they know that Sterling and Doc, it's not Sterling because he's not his half. They know Dockage is down in his basement. Telling you, they do. And so, just do it. The whole facility thing, all right, makes me nuts. Ben Bannigu leaving. Are you okay with that?
I think I'm going to get over it. I'm going to be able to do it, although there's going to be a glut of Velcro, I think, in the Indianapolis market. Ben Bannigu will not be buying the Velcro anymore to tape to his number 52, so he sticks to blockers more effectively.
He's an idiot. I'm putting this out. Sorry, I'm putting this out so more people can enjoy us. But
Ben Bannigu was terrible. He was never anything but terrible. And the Colts kept bringing his ass back like one day he was all of a sudden not going to be terrible. And I've never understood that about Ballard. Ballard will ride a ship to the bottom of the ocean
because it's his
more
ship.
Diligently and stubbornly than any GM I've ever seen.
It's his ship.
Yeah.
He's a survivor. That's what survivors do.
We got a good feeling, Skip, to like Jim Irsay. Got a good feeling about Ben Bannigu this year. Think he's turning the corner. Okay.
I don't have the numbers here, but I don't even remember Ben Bannigu making a tackle on a special team. Like, I'm not sure I remember Ben Bannigu being active last year.
Oh, he is out there.
Was he?
Yeah. I'd always see 52
really?
trot on, 52 trot off. with the clean jersey. You know,
Well,
you're clean
they play on turf.
Yeah, but still.
You like EJ Speed over Bobby Okereke.
I like EJ
Tell
Speed
me about
a
it.
lot.
Why?
He's fast. He's violent. I think he's wired right to be a really good football player. He's a physical specimen. I like him. He's a little bit slight, but he's fast in a way that I think works in football. I think he's better in coverage than people think. I've watched him because I like him. So anytime I see him come onto the field, I'm like, oh, EJ Speed. Funny guy, and that's why I watch. That's not why I evaluate him as well as I do.
I think you asked me about Isaiah Rodgers, and let's just take it from a football perspective. I think Isaiah Rodgers is a good player.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good return man. I think he got much better as a corner. I think he would have been the starting corner.
He can outrun his mistakes,
Right,
which is really, really good.
So now the Colts, you lose the old guy. He goes to the Cowboys. Corner is a problem.
You didn't just lose him. You purposely misplaced him in Dallas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
We've got to get Evan Hull.
Yeah.
We've got to get pick 178, so we can't have one of the best 10 cornerbacks in the league on our roster. I don't understand that kind of roster management at all, and I can't find anybody who does.
No.
With an NFL pedigree.
They're
like, that's the stupidest trade I've ever heard of.
Yeah. The only thing my thing, there's always a backstory.
Yeah.
There's always a freaking backstory. So I got to think that there's a backstory here, that they didn't like his leadership. He wasn't what they thought he was. I got to think this. I mean, you think it's as simple for Stephon Gilmore or whatever the hell his name is? He's out of sight, out of mind. So I'm going to call him Steph, because it made somebody mad when they talked to me. They corrected me, like, what's a lineman's name that is a great story from Michigan on the Colts? What's his name?
Kwity Paye?
Yeah, Kwity Paye corrected me. I'm like, shut up, tackle somebody. But anyway, I called him Stephen Gilmore. He's Stephon. I'm like, shut up, Kwity Paye. Tackle somebody behind the line of scrimmage. I don't want to hear from you. But anyway, there's got to be a backstory, because you don't do what they did. And particularly, there's no way they knew that there was any problem with Isaiah Rodgers. Like, people say, well, how long ago did you think the Colts knew about Isaiah Rodgers? I would bet you the Colts didn't know 20 minutes before it was released.
There's an Indianapolis media guy who was in the media room yesterday at the Colts who said, I called the Colts because I heard this nutty rumor about Isaiah Rodgers. So I called and I said, hey, I'm hearing a rumor that he's being investigated by the NFL. And the response was, where the it was like They had no idea. That was the first they heard of it. This guy in the media is sure, because the person he was talking to, he knows how that person would react if they had known. And he was trying to, kind of like, oh, nothing to see here. It wasn't that. They were like, what? So
I'm telling you.
That was Monday.
Well, I read a little bit when the Detroit thing came out, and one of the things that they said is that the NFL is somehow connected to DraftKings and FanDuel and all this, and they have people inside giving the NFL information, and the NFL only allows 2 or 3 people to know this information, meaning they are shortening the circle.
Yeah.
It is that big a deal to the NFL that they are protecting against leaks. So good for the Colts media guy for getting it figured out. Good for him for having that kind of source, because I was told there are no sources in this. It is a close, they don't want this out. They want this exactly how it happened. Somebody got it, that was his name, Destin something, got it. Good for him. And then he puts it out. And of course, I claimed that I had it because that's my thing. But anyway.
According to sources?
Yeah, according to my sources. Yeah. But that's a hard get, is the way it's been told to me, to get that information. And it's not slowing down. I've been told there's going to be more and more and more and more and more.
You can't do it. And people are going to learn. EJ Speed was funny about talking about the NFL sending guys out. He didn't know whether it was the NFL or the NFLPA or who it is. It's just some guy who comes up and tells them what the specific rules are regarding gambling. And so people asked him, well, what are they? And he said, I don't know. I don't gamble. That's what I tell people. Just don't gamble, and you're not going to violate any of these rules. The specificity of kind of you're in the building or you're on the team bus on your way to an event, whatever. He didn't give a shit, because that's not his life. So,
Well, good for him. It is my life, and
they weren't going to put anybody up yesterday who's like, well, no, I know the rules very well, and I'm gambling I go over to the Marathon gas station, and there's none of that crap.
Tom Brady did a video on it. Did you see that?
No, dude.
Yeah, the NFL had Tom Brady do a video about respecting the game. It's a privilege to play in the NFL. Why would you gamble? Don't be an idiot.
Here's what you can't have, and here's what the Colts are like knee deep in, is people reverse engineering this shit. Like that game that they lost against the Vikings where they were up 32-0. The Cowboys debacle where they were down by 2, and I think it was an 11 or 11.5 point spread, and they gave up like forever points in the fourth quarter. That game against the Texans, that like if you start looking at it sideways, you're like, oh, I know what's going on, and you cannot have that.
I always go back to this. Jamal Meeks was my assistant coach at Bowling Green, and he had been at Northwestern with Ricky Birdsong when the Indy kid Dewey Williams and the Louisville kid Lee fixed games.
Yeah.
And got indicted and charged and all that stuff. And they had to do exactly what you said. They're like, what? So they went back and looked at the games that were in question. And then, like on Blue Chips, they had to go back and look at all the games. And it doesn't matter whether the two kids did it or didn't do it.
Right.
Well, he had a turn. That's a weird turnover.
Yeah.
In a game that wasn't being questioned. Yeah. Oh, he stepped out of bounds there. You know what I mean? Oh, missed a layup? No, people miss layups. But when you're under suspicion, I would go back. I guarantee you when people say, well, somebody said this to me, it's cut and dry. They have the information. He either gambled or he didn't. What's the investigation? The investigation is what you just said.
And he did the smart thing on social media that Ballard always does.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry, but he didn't specifically say what he did.
It's smart.
Like, it was all very vague, no specificity. That's how you admit to stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters. Like, look, to me, you admitted to it. But if you gambled on the Colts, you're probably done forever. If you gambled on a sport, you're done for a year. If you gambled on anything else, you're probably done for a year. So good that he did that. It gives him a little bit of cover, but it's regarding his playing, it's useless.
But I was talking to somebody from the Colts Tuesday, and they said, well, Rodgers, he didn't work last week at the OTA. So why wasn't he there? Did the Colts know why he wasn't there? What was his excuse for not being there? All this stuff.
It's a story that's going to be there all summer.
Yeah.
Unless, they come out. I'll tell you the other story that I find interesting in sports, because you don't see this, is Ja Morant. Have you followed this at all with the NFL, NBA has said?
A little bit.
So this guy, I always tell you there's a backstory. So there's a backstory with Isaiah Rodgers. There's no doubt about it. So Ja Morant, the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, said, we have more information, and we're going to wait till after the NBA Finals. So it's like, look, we need the TV ratings here. We need to sell this thing. And then we'll keep the NBA in the news by suspending one of their biggest stars. But the point is, we as a consumer, we don't know the real. Like Holder and everybody can write what they think and all that, but we don't know the real. Like, and it's fascinating to me, like, what does the commissioner have on Ja Morant that we haven't read about? Morant has had a problem in a Foot Locker with his mother telling, white guys are discriminating against her. So he comes in and with his buddies, they have the gun issues, they have the Pacers issue. But when there's more, that's the stuff I'm always fascinated about. Okay, I know what I read, but it's like a duck on top of the water. What I read is on top of the water. I want to know what's down here paddling.
And nobody wants to tell you what's down there at any point.
No.
Not during the NBA Finals, after, whatever. Right. The unseemly underbelly is going to remain the underbelly for a reason.
But I think you're going to find out. I think we're going to find out yay or nay on whether Isaiah Rodgers gambled.
Yeah.
On the Colts. Or gambled on football. I think the punishment's going to dictate that. And if he did gamble on football and they are going to banish him or did gamble on the Colts, then they have to be very vocal. They have to be very, hey, look, we're not taking this shit. You're not doing this stuff. I don't care that we're making money. You're not gambling on our sport because the integrity of our sport is at stake here.
And that's all they got.
That's all they got. You lose that, you're the WWE.
And that is going to, all of a sudden, the guys who maybe had their earbuds in during the meetings when the NFL guy comes in, starts talking about gambling and their space, those guys are going to start paying attention immediately. because there is way too, for a $40 bet, you're going to lose $2.7 million. No.
I'll tell you something else. NFL has really good health benefits, and the NFL has great pension if you're in there long enough. You lose a lot more than 2.7.
Yeah.
And then a lot of
pension, all that shit.
How about all the money? Like Jason Tatum, the star of the Celtics, said that he has never spent his salary check.
Is that right?
From all the other crap. Duncan Robinson told
guy.
Andrew, I don't spend my salary. They get all, like, you get a card, a football card, 75 grand. You get some kind of kickback from the league, or there's another 25, 40 grand for something else from the players. So you're not even touching the 2.7. You're banking it.
You're like Chevy Chase in Caddyshack. Hey, that's a check for $75,000. I'll keep it. Just lay on the bar.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's astounding to me. Like when you really, like when I left Radio 1, all right, I left Radio 1. And when you left Emmis, okay, whatever you were making isn't there anymore, but then you got insurance.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got to get health insurance. And I don't know if you've noticed, but health insurance ain't cheap.
It's crazy expensive at this point.
And all those things. So now you got this kid who, hey, not only the 2.7, but all this money, and you've just pissed it away because you didn't go, like you said, you didn't go across the street to the marathon station.
Yeah. And he's got an agent, and the agent either isn't picking up the phone or he's steamed because he ain't going to make his money either. Like, how about his mom?
Oh, yeah.
How about his sister, his girlfriend, wife, whatever?
Anybody.
All that money for all those people.
Gone.
Goners.
Do we want Dalvin Cook here?
No. We got Jonathan Taylor.
Okay. I just want guys. Every guy that comes available that can run 4 years, all pros, 6 years in the league. I want more pros. I want all pros. But I'm with you.
And this is how you wind up being on the outside so quickly. Like Dalvin Cook was scheduled to make like 14 million, 11 against the cap. He's been in the league 7 years. He's got 1,500 carries. Like they got the actuarial table. They know where the cliff is. Yeah. And Dalvin Cook's coming to the cliff.
Yeah.
And that's where Jonathan Taylor's headed. And people are like, oh no, we've got to sign him to an extension. That would be stupid. At a level that I would almost expect Ballard to do it to show everybody how loyal he is to everyone, but it's catastrophically dumb because you can franchise a guy for $10.3 million.
Right.
Why are you going to sign him to an extension for more than that? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and coming off an injury, and the cliff is like 30 years old. Like running backs at I think it's 30. It literally is a cliff. Right. It's literally like falling on, whatever cliff you can think of. You gone.
Let me ask you, DeAndre Hopkins.
The mad crapper. I love the mad crapper. Remember when he came and crapped up the... People don't believe that story.
Oh, it's absolutely true. I know a cop who was all about what happened. And it was like, I didn't know who DeAndre Hopkins was at the time. It was the first time I ever heard his name.
Right.
Like, what? Yeah, the mad crapper.
DeAndre Hopkins, and I think it was another wide receiver. He was from Rutgers, I think. Somebody told me it was $21,000 to fix the hotel room because they put crap. There's a sickness there.
Yeah.
Benetti told a story. You guys that listen to my radio show will remember this. Minor leagues, two guys, like it's 5-day stand in like Toledo. I think it was Toledo. And you're going to be there 5 days, 3 days, whatever. They had a bet. Whoever flushes the toilet first loses.
Wow.
He said, I walked in there and the toilet is over. It was, okay, that's kind of funny. That's kind of minor league baseball, stupid. I wouldn't do it, but hey. But just crapping and putting it all over the wall, that's mental illness.
Well, do you have gloves? Are you doing this with your hand? Are you like wrapping your hands in shirts? It's no good no matter which way, but I got so many questions. Maybe if the Colts do sign him, we can, like his initial media thing. Can you tell us about the crapping? With the hands, is this,
Can you see that, press? Ken Sterling here, KenSterling.com. Now, when you crapped up the combine here, Did you use gloves? What was the mindset going in? What was the mindset leaving?
Was there a case of pink eye? Later, did you develop some kind of conjunctivitis? We need to know. Yeah,
I'm all for him. I don't have to coach him. I don't have to clean it up. I had to clean up little kids. We had a mad crapper at Indiana on the dorm in Briscoe during camp one year, and I stopped the whole camp. 300 kids, whatever. I said, all right, we're not continuing this camp until I find out who's the mad crapper.
we are not going to sully the walls of Briscoe.
I stopped. I'm like, we got a guy crapping in the middle of the floor. We are not having a mad crapper here. Who is doing it? Raise your hand, or if you know, come see me. But the camp is over until you.
If those walls in Briscoe could talk, they would tell stories about a lot of us that nobody wants anybody to know.
Some kid crapping in the middle of the hallway wouldn't even make the top 1 zillion.
Not even close.
But I want DeAndre Hopkins here. Hell yes, I want DeAndre Hopkins here.
And
I don't care about the money.
Tennessee.
I know.
And Mike Vrabel was a coach with Houston when he was there. The offensive coordinator was a coach in Houston.
I know.
So if this guy's still mad crapping, why would they be interested? You know what
he's
I mean?
not. Yeah. No,
he's gotten over it. He's moved on.
He's moved on. I mean, who hasn't crapped up a hotel room? I took a pee in a parking lot last night, and my wife's like, hey, there might be security cameras. I go, I don't care. I have a problem. So
it's better than my pants.
Honest to God, it's like I didn't wear my adult diaper, so I opened the door, acted like I was, looking around. I got a problem. So if Doyle ever writes an article about the mad peer, I cop to it. I do, because I have a problem. But I do. Why not? I mean, look, Tennessee's in the same position we are.
Yeah.
They drafted a wide receiver last year, Burks, who was good enough. He was good, and he's a speed guy.
After trading Brown.
Right. They got rid of Brown. We don't no longer have Hilton. They getting him would be a problem for the Colts.
Yes.
I think that would put them, being the Titans, maybe they're the same. I don't know. Maybe, but Tannehill probably makes them better than Anthony Richardson right now, I would think.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. But you had a guy like that at that position, that's a problem.
Yeah, it changes the competitive dynamic of the division for sure. And people say, well, he didn't win shit down in Houston. I had a guy comment on the YouTube channel this morning. Well, they won 4 division titles his last 6 years there. So don't tell me they didn't win with DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't want to hear about the chip, man. It's all about the chip. Shut up. Colts are trying to win a division. And you can say the Titans have no quarterback, and I'm not going to argue. I just saw somebody on our chat say that. But, what did Tannehill really have last year? I mean, he didn't have nothing. No, and then Henry gets hurt. And no one's ever said, I don't think, that Tannehill is the guy that's going to be, Joe Montana and take you to wherever.
A really high-end placeholder.
Yeah, he's a little bit, he's a more accomplished Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, right.
He's a much more accomplished. You can't argue that he's done well, particularly a second career Tannehill with the Titans. His first career was down in Miami. It didn't go great. It went fine. But second career, the guy's been terrific.
He's okay. He's like Chad Pennington was. He's one of those guys.
Yeah. I always put Kirk Cousins in there, but Kirk Cousins seems to win more.
You look at his statistically, and he's really been good.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. Like, you look at the numbers, you're like, oh,
Grigson told me that like a year ago. He goes, people want to crap on Cousins, and they want to crap on his, his whole deal, but he's a good dude to have on your team.
Yeah.
That's how he put it. Grigson's with the Vikings now. He goes, he's just a good dude to have on your team, for better or for worse. All right, let me go this route with you. What would you do? Because you are limited as a Colt right now. You are so limited offensive playmakers. You got a guy coming off an injury in Jonathan Taylor. How would you maneuver him through the preseason? How would you maneuver him through exhibition games? That's going to be a question that the staff has to answer.
Because there are two sides to that argument, right? If you put him on a pitch count, you're limiting his contact, and you're maybe making him a little bit more susceptible to getting injured. But if you raise his pitch count, he could get hurt on one of those.
That's what I'm saying.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Do you feel he's an injury-prone guy?
No,
I
not
don't
at
either.
all.
I don't either. I think
He got a high ankle.
He
It's
got
a high
hurt.
ankle.
Yeah, he got hurt. That's it. It's not. No, I agree.
They cleaned up the ankle. Everything's supposed to be good. It's not like a nerve thing with
Right.
Leonard or some lingering deal. He should be good to go.
Yeah. See, I hear people say, "Well, your running back is injury-prone."
That dude didn't miss a practice
Right.
all the way back to high school.
Right. Out of practice at college and out of practice. He got hurt. He got a high ankle. And the team sucked.
Right.
So maybe if the team was fighting for a playoff berth, maybe he'd have been back. I don't know, but hey. Who
And
knows?
maybe if they had some kind of offense where the defense couldn't load the box with 8, maybe he wouldn't have got hurt at all.
Right.
And now they've got an offense where at the very least you got to figure out how to defend these guys. If Richardson's the quarterback, you got to look at it and say, okay, we got to have a spy for Richardson. We've got, they're going to have their hands tied by the multiplicity of weapons that they've got on that offense.
Let me ask you this, because I am a staunch defender of Urban Meyer, and maybe I'm the only one. But when Urban was with Jacksonville, he had the first pick in the draft, and that draft choice was Trevor Lawrence, and he had Gardner Minshew, and he made Trevor Lawrence take the second-team reps.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Frank Reich did for a while with Bryce Young. That's what the Colts are doing with Minshew, is it not? Minshew taking most of them.
They do when we're there. But what Steichen said yesterday is that it kind of floats a little bit. So maybe if you were here tomorrow, it would be different.
Right.
He said that, but that's a non-committal
Of course it is.
answer. We don't know.
Of course. See, what you have to do is you have to answer to your team.
Right.
And when you are putting a guy out there that clearly is not ready with the first team, then you got to answer to those guys. Yes, the media, they killed Meyer and they're not touching either Steichen or Reich. And, we all know that's the deal. But the truth of the matter is you got to answer to your team. But I would say, do you think the first pick in the draft is different than the fourth?
Yeah, and in this case specifically, absolutely. I mean, Bryce Young is NFL ready to go. Anthony Richardson started 13 games and got much better in the second half of last year with Florida, but he's all potential. And he's your 401k. Yeah. You dip into that account, you're going to get killed here, and here. You wait till it matures, and you're going to get something.
All right, people are ripping you.
Ripping me?
Yeah, ripping you.
Why don't you people kiss my ass?
And they're ripping me for not ripping you.
Why?
You said a multiplicity of weapons on the Colts offense. Name them.
Richardson, Taylor. That's it.
That's 2.
That's it.
That's multiple.
Here's the 3. He can throw deep. He can throw it more than 20 yards. So you can have Alec Pierce run that way instead of zigzags. And so you're going to have guys who have to go. You got a safety who's going to have to go that way instead of have 8 in the box all day long. You got a guy who's capable of moving the ball forward. That's
so
a good
what?
thing.
So who's he throwing it to? Who's the weapons?
Well, I don't care. It doesn't
You
really
said
matter.
a multiplicity of weapons. Is a multiplicity 2?
This is a weapon, and these are weapons with Richardson.
Are you being a little fast forwarding? Are you fast forwarding saying that Richardson's a weapon?
Well, here, what I'm being is comparative with last year where they had no weapons. They had nothing once Taylor got hurt. They couldn't move the football. They were terrible offensively at every level, at every position. Terrible. Now, at least you got a guy who can, and I was watching a tape this morning, because what else are you going to do, of Florida against LSU.
You're sick.
Holy crap.
What?
Anthony Richardson is so fast, so quickly fast for 242 pounds. Shit. Like, there is no way you don't have a linebacker spying him every play. No chance. And then you've got, the fastest running back in the NFL in Taylor, who ran for over 1,800 yards a year before. You have Pittman, who's done 1,000 yards. You got Pierce, who's going to be better. I know. Downs and his little foot. Maybe someday we'll see Downs play. And you have no tight ends who can play, or you wouldn't have 7 on the roster. I get it. I know. You're right. This is what we do. It's June 8th, And so on this isn't September 10th. On September 10th, we're going to be singing from a different hymnal. But right now, it's time for optimism. It's time for hope.
I thought that was May.
Oh, it extends
into
into
June?
June.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, May's like 78 days.
See, I always told people my kids were going to be born in May or August. My daughter was born June 2nd, and I say the same thing. It rolls.
There really is no June.
No.
There's just a long
No.
May and then a long August,
Yeah.
and we skip over June and July.
I agree with that. I don't. Look, you're preaching to the choir. I got to go. I got a big golf match this afternoon.
Let me ask you one thing about golf. I know you got to go. Do you think that Rory, who sank in my estimation yesterday quite precipitously, Spieth, Thomas, those guys ought to tell Monahan to go blow it out his ass? We're going to start our own thing. We're going to do like the live in reverse. We're going to do it for the right reasons.
No.
You know?
No.
Because of money?
Yeah.
I hate money as a
That's all.
motivator for
Tell me
shit.
when it's not.
I hate it. Don't be greedy. You're not greedy. I'm not greedy. Don't be greedy.
But if I want, but here it's a little different though. If I'm playing golf and I'm playing golf at that level, golf is a little like baseball, and history matters. So I'm going to go start my own thing. How am I going to do that? Where am I going to go? How am I going to get the same prestige? Where? Okay, me and 10 guys go. I tell you what, Ryan Burr made an interesting point on my show. He said, the guys that lost money, or actually I said this, and then Burr said it was the greatest thing to happen to golf, is this union. The guys that said, I'm not taking the quote blood money, you know what? Did you do it for prestige, or did you do it because you believed it? So if now that the tour comes back and you didn't take blood money, are you mad about not taking blood money, or did you do it are you doing it for the mirror? Personally, for me, I'm tired of McIlroy. I'm tired of all of it. I don't give a shit about any of it. I know I'm supposed to. The Saudis are trying to buy an NFL team. I told you this before. Middle of campus, Arkansas University, beautiful, the Fulbright fountain. Guess who the number one donor is? Sheikh somebody, Saudi Arabia. You know what? My biggest bitch is this. Why is all of these media pounding their chest about the Saudis and LIV, and not one word is said about the NBA and China? And you can make the argument that China is the most evil nation since Hitler. Like, Hitler's always going to be number one. He's fucking worst. But China is right there with what they're doing. And I had a guy tell me today, David Hookstead, he goes, the Saudi government actually is leading the fight. They led it with Bush and Reagan and the other Bush and this to get rid of terrorism. While they have all these organizations that are wealthy and they're the terrorists. But apparently, according to this guy, I don't know this, the government is actually fighting terrorism. But the things like the rich dudes are the terrorists. It's a jacked up thing. I don't understand it. All I understand is Bryson DeChambeau's a fucking idiot for saying, well, everybody makes mistakes and the Twin Towers was 20 years ago. My dick. That's bullshit. The Twin Towers should never be forgotten. What happened there should never be forgotten. And that dumbass saying everybody makes mistakes. I'll make a mistake today. You know what it'll be? I'll tell my buddy Cam that the putt breaks this way. Or I'll make a mistake peeing outside and my neighbor will see it. I'll make a mistake blowing up a fucking building.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau's a dumb fuck. Excuse me, probably get kicked out. It just pisses me off that these media are pounding their chest. Bad LIV, bad Saudi. Well, China's killing their own people if you disagree with them. And China's got more money, and players go to China, support China, a communist regime that's pure evil. It drives me batshit crazy.
But the big networks do not pay the big paid guys to talk about golf. They pay them to talk about the NBA.
Yeah.
Those guys, everybody's a hypocrite.
Everybody.
The only non-hypocrites in this whole damn world are right here. Don't at him.
And I want everybody to know, I need you to sign up for my golf outing. I'm getting Miller, not Anheuser-Busch. I got crushed because, and I feel like I got crushed, and I hear you. I'm doing my best. I feel like I've lived a life that hasn't been a hypocrite. I'm trying to raise money for kids. Anheuser-Busch agreed to give us free beer, but I'm like, hey, can somebody go meet with the Miller guys to try to get Miller? Because I won't be a hypocrite. But I want to raise money. So sign up for my golf outing. DanDockich.com. You can sign up. Please, I need golfers.
And subscribe.
Oh, God.
Subscribe
Not
to
enough subscribe. Damon Bruce got fired, an Indiana guy, got fired on WKNR. He basically was the voice of San Francisco sports.
Yeah, he was on the Fan.
Yeah.
Or the Game.
The Game.
Yeah.
So Damon, he starts one of these.
I know he's an IU guy.
Yeah, what did I do? Yeah, he got 5,000 subscribers like that. What are we doing?
Bigger market.
Damn it. We're
What are you
bigger
gonna
heads.
do? Jason
bigger
Barrett
brains.
hired him. I think.
Yeah, I did.
So
I did. Big brains. We
There
need
you go.
subscribers. Let's get to 3,000 by next week.
that's doable.
Why would
The Cash Man. The Cash Man.
He's on
He's
it.
in.
He's on us.
All
I
right.
love the Cash Man.
We'll talk to you later.